Welcome to Land Academy. This is the Cash Flow from Land show, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWitt.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com. All right, let's get this show started.
Hey, Steve Butala here for Land Academy. Welcome to our Cash Flow from Land show. In this episode, Jill and I talk about the very first day of my land career, and then we talk about today and everything in between. Jill, I look at the numbers and I can't believe it. You know, ask me anything if you want. I'm not sure that this is not going to be our highest rated show. And you know how I get about talking about myself and stuff. So, but somebody called in and asked about this. So,
I love this topic. I actually have a list of questions that I think everyone would love to hear the answers. So this is a great topic. So let me go back and explain. Do you want to explain what we're talking about? It's really...
I would love for you to do it.
Okay. This is really, Steven started, no surprise and no secrets in our ebook too, with $500 and his checkbook sitting at his kitchen table, buying a piece of land off eBay. And who knew it would turn into 20 point, I don't know how many, or it's 22. I don't remember what the final number was, but over $20 million in revenue from that in not a lot of time. So it is amazing. And it's all just buying and reselling rural land.
Right.
So that's it. So question one, Susie from Omaha said, just kidding. So
Jill's joking about that because we're about to have callers on the show. Exactly. We really are. We're several episodes away from doing that.
Should I pretend? Hi, my name is Susie.
Yeah, let's try it.
Hi, my name is Susie. I'm from Omaha. How are you?
It's kind of turning me on.
Long time listener, first time caller. Oh, Steven, your voice is
Susie
just...
from Omaha, okay. What are you wearing today?
Your voice is just dreamy. Especially now that I know what your balance sheet looks like.
I've always wanted your balance sheet.
What do you like? Have you seen his balance sheet? You know what? Next time somebody asks me why we're partners together or something, I'm just saying we're out in public. I'm saying, have you seen his balance sheet? Just kidding. Okay. Here's my question. When did you realize what was happening? When did you realize that you could actually make a living doing this?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I bet people would be, our members are interested in this. Yeah. I had a very delayed response years, so I went into this, I had a job, like everybody, I had a job. And so I started flipping land on the internet long from the location that I was in. I was not in the same geography. So I did a few deals, did a few off deals, bought some, actually, we don't teach this, but I bought some land on the internet and then resold it. And so, that happened. And I guess, I don't know, I made a bunch of money, but I just didn't believe it. I figured, that's just a one-off thing. And there was no education. I wasn't following a manual like Land Academy has or anything. I was just buying and selling property. And so the cash that I had on hand at that month is what I spent, and I sold it for cash. There's no terms. But I did, when it really dawned on me is I did a deal. I sent out a bunch of faxes. I sent a fax out to all the real estate agents in Arizona, and overnight one time. And we talk about this in the program. There's an automated paperless way to do this. Back then the legalities are a little bit different than they are now, but one real estate agent got in northern Arizona, received the fax, and we negotiated a deal. I bought something like 180 or 190 properties, like an acre and a quarter. And I packaged them up and sold them on the internet, and I sold them on eBay. And I cleared like $600,000. This is while I'm working at my job, doing the exact same thing we teach in Land Academy. And so I know I literally looked at my like a few months into this, looked at my bank account, and I'm like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe this isn't just a fluke. I treated it as a fluke for probably 2 years.
So is that when you realized it? Was it like a year in or
it was about 2 years.
2 years in.
Ballpark.
Okay. Got it. When were you ready? When did you make the decision to leave your current career?
So that wasn't enough.
Okay.
I didn't
you didn't want to change
I still thought, when's the next time I'm going to run into a deal like that? That was always in the back of my head.
Okay.
So then I started I went to a tax auction is what happened in Southern Arizona. So then I started looking into it. This is right at the very beginning stages of the internet. And I went to a tax auction in Southern Arizona, and I brought I think $20,000 or $30,000 with me, which is pretty small compared. If I did that today, I would bring $500,000 because I just made all that money. And I know what I'm doing now, but I brought $20,000 or $30,000 and I did all the math, and I look at that, my completed sales and then other completed sales, just like we teach in Land Academy, and realized that there was I spent 20, I was probably going to make probably 120,000, which ended up making a lot more on eBay if I just put it into a system and started taking it seriously. Like, I didn't have a website or anything.
Okay. All right.
And that's when I quit.
Got it.
Then I said, the thought that I had that pushed me over the edge was, what if I spent all my time trying to replicate these acquisitions? Because there's no issues with sales.
Right.
There's still no issues with sales, Joe.
Correct.
It's all about finding a cheap property. So then years went by and we ultimately developed this. This is a good show for everyone to listen to. Years went by of making mistakes, and finally I came across where we get our data, which we share with Land Academy members, and perfected a mailer. And now the auctions come to us. So literally every day in the mail and on the phone, they call us and say, yes, I want to sell it. Mm-hmm. Is that a long way to answer that?
No, that was great. Okay. So that was, 2 years in. So how many years in were you ready to leave your career? Was it 4 years later?
The gap between that large deal in Northern Arizona from the agent and that land auction was pretty small. It was about 8 months.
Okay.
And when I was buying property, I never stopped making offers on property that was listed.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying, I think. Well, for clarity's sake, I was still buying one-offs.
Right. That you would just find here and there.
Yeah, or I'd make really low offers, stuff that was listed. Back then, the internet was very young. I can't stress that enough.
Yes.
The internet's very developed now. It makes it so much easier. I can't.
Just to say, what were obstacles? What were some of the obstacles that you had back then that you don't have now?
Education. I'm going to list these.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to list them. There was no education like we provide. True. If I had that.
Oh, man.
If I started with $500 right now, I could generate this kind of money in 1/10 of the time. We do it all the time now. Mm-hmm. But just by listening to what we're doing here. There was no real sales venue at all except eBay. And you know how much it costs to sell stuff on eBay. There was no real online credit card companies that accepted my product type. There's a lot of hurdles back then that we don't have now.
It's true.
There was no way at all to do research on what you were buying. So you're staring at an APN, and it's a super good price. Let's say it's $500 like we teach. Right. Now, where am I going to get a map? There's no Google Earth. So I literally bought 50 atlases that we carry around in the car. 50 states packaged from Delorme, or however you pronounce it.
Really?
And we would try to find property that way through Range Township.
Wow.
And we would look at largely based on the plat maps that we could get from the county.
Right.
And then there were a few that
you'd buy and order, and they mail it to you.
They mail it to you and you wait. Yeah.
Right.
There was no PayPal. Mm-hmm. So an auction would end, and the buyer would call, we would contact each other, and they said, okay, I'm putting a check in the mail today. Wow. So we'd get the check, wait for the check to clear, then do the deed. There's a lot of trust. I look back on that, and if that happened, any of that happened today, there's no way. It would take 2 months to record a property. You didn't have a website
that people could check you out.
Yeah.
Nowadays, one of the things I hear from our members, they ask me some questions about, is this person going to really trust me to do this? And I'm like, well, have you done what we've taught you, do you have a website? Do you have that presence? Are you showing that you're doing business and you're credible? If you do all those steps, then it's a no-brainer. People can check you out and do their homework and they go, okay, it's all legit. I'm buying this property or whatever it is. So
yeah, there's very, very few obstacles that I can see now.
That's great.
That there were lots back then.
That's I didn't think that. I'm trying to imagine getting out doing the township, range-up, and all of that. Okay, so you've got the plat map. Now you've got to transfer that to a real map, and you're sitting there trying to determine the exact,
Yeah, so in these maps, I don't want to get all boring about this, but in these atlases that we have in our cars, or we used to have in our cars, you can get to the section, right? The 36-acre, 1 mile section, and then we were making decisions based on that.
That's crazy.
And there were some very crude software packages back then that you would buy the discs and install them. Because you couldn't download software back then on the internet, or if you could, the very few places you could, that we didn't have. Our computers were plugged into phone jacks. Wow. There's no,
This is a slow process back then too. What I buy and sell now is so fast.
What I still appreciate this, because we're sitting here staring at, my computer has 4 40-inch monitors on it. Back then, I ran the whole thing from a back bedroom in my condo on a notebook computer, and you could only have one application open at a time. There was no Windows, it was Windows 3.1.
Oh.
So you'd post the posting on eBay, then you'd close that all down and log out, and then open up Microsoft Word and write some stuff. It was a long 8-hour day.
That's crazy. Okay. Next question. How did you explain this, and what did your family think?
Oh, geez. I did not mention a lot of, I did, because I had a job for most of it. I didn't actually explain it to anybody.
You're just all of a sudden nice gifts were showing up at Christmas time?
Yeah, because I've had this whole problem even now to this day, and you know about this. People don't believe us.
It's kind of true.
They don't believe you can buy property for $500.
It's true.
They don't believe you can generate $20 million. Listen, I'm not tooting my own horn, but apparently this is what this episode's about. I never borrowed any money, and I never took on an equity partner. So it literally, I went from 500 to 1,000 to 4,000 to 9,000 and on and on and on and on. Never changed my lifestyle. That's part of it.
It's true.
And it just, we're north of $20 million now.
Exactly.
In revenue generated.
Has it sunk in?
No, that's the thing. I don't even feel like that. I wake up, I just wake up full charge, full steam ahead. No, I don't. Flipping property, you know this, Joe. We've had these conversations. Flipping property is now not my primary focus. It has been for many, many years, and making money at that. When I look at our financial statements or our tax returns and how much money we've made flipping properties, no longer it. I love teaching. I love Land Academy. People ask me all the time, why the hell are you doing this? You could be on a boat somewhere. I don't know. I tried that boat thing for a while. I love doing this.
That's perfect, because that ties into my next question, which was, now what?
Yeah, I love teaching this.
Do you want to teach other things?
I don't know. Sure. If this is working out so far, yeah. I know you and I have kicked around the idea of helping kids decide what they want to do for a living, or, along these lines, yes, I do. Right. But it all comes back to, there's probably a lot of people that have the exact same story as mine, but completely different product types, like software. There's some people that are younger than me, like Zuckerberg or and I'm not anywhere in the league that those guys are, but that for whatever reason, the software thing clicked to them, or they caught the social media wave like he did, and a lot of people did with, writing applications for phones is huge, or was huge. There's new waves of stuff coming all the time. So, and it's always the same story. People who sit around and say, gosh, I'm rich. You don't want to hang out with a guy like that.
Right. That's true. How have you handled?
Let's talk about you.
No,
I have a bunch of questions.
This is your show. This is your show. How have you handled over the years that people that have figured out what you're doing and have come to you and said, I've got, $5 million I want to hand you.
Yeah, I've never taken the money. And that happens all the time.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Okay. I was wondering why. I'm like, okay, what is the explanation?
That happens all the time, Jill. You know that.
I do.
We're just asking for the listeners. So, I'll tell you how I would take money is if I identified, and I'm working on this right now. If I identified an apartment building and and I've done this many, many times actually with different product types and said, all right, here's an equity. Somebody says I got $5 million. How would I use it? Maybe buy apartments or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We don't need the money. I know how profitable this is.
It's true.
I mean, would you do that?
I don't need, like you said, you know what? For me, it's like, I don't really need to. And I'd almost rather teach you how to do it and you go do it. And if you want to, thank me somehow, thanks. Great. But, I'm with you.
I would do it on a huge deal. Like we found there's a couple deals in our system where they're just huge.
Right.
And if they were all kind of the like kind property in the same, let's say it was like 140 acre properties that were there's roads in there and everything in one spot. And somebody said, I got $5 million and it wouldn't take anywhere near that. I would do a deal like that.
Right.
Where they put all the money up and then we sell it all and collect the payments for like 20 years and split it somehow. I would do that.
That's not bad. That's really good.
But why wouldn't I just pay for it myself and do it?
Exactly. There's the whole point. So it's not like you need the backing.
The question is, can you leverage it? That's the question you're asking. Leverage it through equity or leverage it through debt. And one of the reasons we're all here and made it through that downturn is because we didn't take on any debt or equity. So, I might do something like that.
Okay. I have another question. Bob from Minnesota.
Sarah's way better. What was her name?
I think it was Sarah. Susie. Celeste from Miami. Celeste from Miami called in and wants to know, other than your balance sheet, what? I'm sorry. No, but in all,
is this a 900 number or is this?
This is all
is
serious.
This an entrepreneur show?
Right. Okay. No, this is serious. This is an entrepreneurial question. What is it, Stephen Butala, about you that makes you different, that you did this and no one else has?
Yeah, I really think it's one single thing. And it's just, I refuse to stop. I refuse to lose. I've heard, I've read books like everybody has about this topic and listened to people talk about who are incredibly successful, way, way, way more successful than me. And what I hear almost all of them say, I don't hear a lot of people say, wow, that was an accident. I got lucky there. I hear people say, you know what? I was defeated like 10 times through this whole process and I just didn't stop. I didn't even know I was defeated. I didn't really, if I had any sense at all, I would have looked at my bank account or I would have looked at my situation and said, this is over. I just never stopped. I think the underlying thing that, we're talking about doing this No program about helping people. Mm-hmm. One of the things that really needs to happen long before any action is taken, and I'll explain it in a second, is developing a sense of confidence. So whatever that means for you, like think of this, like does a brain surgeon who's starting out in medical school just go do brain surgery that day? No, not even close. What they do, or he or she, it's the same thing with real estate. You're going to start out and go buy a piece of property that day or that week or that month. No. You're going to get educated. You're going to align yourself with some people who know what they're doing, who've done it, who are willing to teach you like us. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to try it a few times and as a dress rehearsal, and maybe you're going to fail, maybe not. Hopefully you do fail actually a few times, but it doesn't cost you too much money, or it was just a trial run, a dress rehearsal. There was no real audience. And then you go do it. Mm-hmm. So a lot wrong before that. You have to, then you're building confidence up all along the way. Mm-hmm. And so once you go into something and have a lot of confidence, that's, in my opinion, that's step one. Mm-hmm. Well, what was your question?
I forgot.
Oh, yeah, what makes me different? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always had probably an unhealthy sense of confidence about business, and I'm sure it's unhealthy.
I think your initial answer was the gut answer, and that I like that answer, which was I just wouldn't stop. And you attribute it to, I think what you were saying is it's your confidence, and that everyone needs to develop confidence in what they're doing. But it's you have an innate drive that whatever you're going to tackle, you're going to master, and that is you. And that, my friend, is something I don't think you can teach.
Yeah. I mean, do you think you have to have that, though? I don't think so. That's my point.
It sure helps.
I think at my level, all kidding aside, is unhealthy. Every boss I've ever had, professional boss, not like when I was a kid working at a restaurant, has pulled me aside and said, this cockiness with you has to stop. You haven't really done anything. I've always had a sense of like.
But last time I checked, you're pulling it off and you're winning.
I am now.
I know.
Oh, it's all peaches and cream now, but it was bloody awful before. I weighed 900 pounds. I was penniless in a box, and they weighed 900 pounds, and you didn't know me back then.
You're so funny. With an attitude.
I was all full of confidence in the box.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so good. Okay. All right, got it. I'm out of questions.
Well, let's make it about you. So
we don't have much time.
The latter part of these millions here is because of you. So
Thank you.
I mean,
Stephen did from 500 to 19.2. And Jill came along for that last home stretch of the last 800,000 to push it over the top.
That's not true at all.
Thanks, Stephen. I feel really good. I'll take credit for that.
Hey, you remember in the last show you were talking about the you're charging to rent library books?
Yes.
Your cost of goods sold there was $0, and you're charging 25 cents a book.
Yes.
That's why one of the reasons you're good at this, I think. You just have you show up for this, Jill.
Thank you.
That's a lot of it.
Thank you. I don't think I walk around with the same attitude, I guess, and the confidence that you do. I'm more of a quietly over here getting it done. No one really knows what I'm doing, but what's going on over there? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm over here just like, I'm the quiet making the deals. Things are happening. Almost people don't even realize what they're doing. Oh, wow. Everybody's happy. They just sold it for that, and she, bought it for that, and everybody's loving it. And I'm like, all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's, I think, how I roll. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't. I don't know. I just have a whole new set of goals right now, and the same process is happening. I can see it because Land Academy is not old.
No.
It's in the very beginning stages, and I envision Land Academy. I'm not really doing Land Academy for just financial reward. There's other stuff. Once you heard it, I've always said this. After $20,000 a month, if you have no real debt, mortgage doesn't count. We don't have a mortgage, but just that's because I'm nuts. Mm-hmm. But after $20,000 a month, consistently, if you're making that amount of money, and it all just becomes numbers on a computer screen after that.
It's true.
And it can be very unhealthy, I think.
It's true.
So our numbers are a lot higher than that, and it's not something we talk about on the podcast a lot. And I'm going to respectfully say this is the only show we're going to do this.
Okay. Do you want to go back and erase that?
No, it's all right. It's fine to talk about it on one episode, but it's more about after 20 grand, it's just numbers.
Be realistic.
Let's say from 20 to 40, and this happens. People get nuts. If I made more money, I would do this. We have friends like this, Joe.
Yeah.
We have friends who are. If I made $5,000 then they do, and then it's like now I have one specific friend. He's a friend long before I've known Jill, and he's always said some version of this to me. Well, if I could just create $1,500 more a month, then I could stop doing this thing over here or this, and then he does, and then it's just another problem. So that's a whole different. Money's has nothing to do with that. He's stopping himself for some reason. I don't know why.
He won't. Yeah. it's never enough. He's not allowed to reach his goals for whatever reason. That's very interesting. I don't have that problem. I'm like, no, I'm good. This is good. Remember a long time ago, what was my dream? Just a shack on the beach. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Just that I'm on the beach. It doesn't need to be huge.
You know what it is for me? And I'm going to wrap it up on this. It's not so much the money every month. It's the process, how we got to that. So if it was clawing and scratching, what was that saying as a salesperson? A lot of people have hero zero or zero to hero.
Oh,
you go from
hero to
zero.
zero.
So on the 30th of the month, you're a hero, and then you go to zero and you have to resell and start. That is the most inefficient, pain in the butt thing if I made $14 million in 1 month and then went to zero and had to do it again, I wouldn't do it. I would walk off that job.
It's tough. It's tough. Well, that's a lot of sales positions.
So
I like that.
It's not so much the money for me. I like, you know this, I like putting systems in place and having a smooth, everyone's laughing at work because it's all working good and our numbers are slowly going up and we're all having fun because the system works and the software works and the customers are happy. And, you know, in Land Academy's case, people are learning. We can watch it in Success Plant. Yes. You know, we can see almost in real time when somebody's struggling with some point and we have the power to go back and change the thing in the program if we need to, or set up a new mailer resource. I just love that kind of control, flowy control.
Yes.
That I get off on that way more than the money.
That's great.
And that's probably unhealthy too. They're saying this episode's going to be in some kind of psychology class. Like, don't be like these two.
Let's dissect this.
This is what a personality disorder is.
Oh.
Listen to this show.
That's really good. Oh my gosh. You hear that? There's a whole nother personality that just came out. Did you catch that? There's another person there. No. That's great. Okay.
Hey, join us in another episode where Jill and I don't fail like we did at this one, and we talk about your all-important success in land investment and in life. I have such a problem talking about myself.
You did.
I don't look at myself like this.
You did great. I'm very
We're going to do this to
you,
Jill. We're going to have a Jill show, justjill.com.
Just Jill. No. That you did great. That was really good. I was really trying to think of questions, big picture questions that people want to know about you that come up often. And I think thank you for being honest and
you know what we should have talked about
answering those.
We the success of this freaking podcast. I mean, I can't believe how I really, when I look at success and, you know, like the title of this thing has gotten dollar numbers and stuff. I mean, and I think that's great, but a lot of people are listening to the show a lot more day over day over day. I take that like a pat on my back. Mm-hmm. Because we've talked about it before. There's no way there's this many people that are concerned about, that want to get into land investing. I think that they're either entertained by us or they're learning something or any of that's fine with me.
Or it's making them feel better about themselves.
My life's all screwed up, but it's not as bad as those people. That's it. That's the whole show, Jill.
That's it. That's why.
That's where our listeners are coming from.
Now I just figured it out.
That's it. Let's go buy some property.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
If you want to get involved or you need more information about our profitable, niche real estate operation, call 480-467-0359. You just might get Jill at the other end of the line.
landacademy.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.